Right, all right, all right. So we are honored for our next rock star here on National Social Media Day. I'm bringing her back on here. I'm gonna ask if she's there. Come on now. She's probably like, oh, I'm gonna get a cup of coffee. These guys are still talking.
No, you just missed. I ran to the restroom, but I got back in time to hear about the Speedo. So whoa, I probably should have stayed away.
There you go. There you go. Exactly. Well, hey, we are honored to have our good friend Juliet Clark join us here on National Social Media Day. If you don't know who she is, you definitely want to pay attention because so many of us are trying to find clients. We're trying to use social, trying to use video, trying to use books, ebooks, whatever it might be, webinars. And I love what Juliet does here with entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches to help them really find and determine the best people in their audience out there. So Juliet, we're so honored to have you here on Social Media Day 2020.
Well, thank you. It's a great honor to be here.
So you know, we've been rocking and rolling here. We've got people of all expertise level listening. We got people all across the world. Share a little bit more about what you're doing. And did you have some slides you want to bring up or go through, or just throw back and forth?
Let's just throw it back and forth. I actually decided I kind of want to spiff it today. So
there you go. Good stuff. So let's dive into it. Talk a little bit more about what you're doing and how you're helping people out there all across the world.
So you guys are probably seeing quizzes out there quite a bit. We have a very unique quiz platform that is actually a combination of market research, lead generation, and lead qualification. So it's much different. I think we've been working on the paradigm for quite a while now that, you know, we're going to give something away free in exchange for an email address, and it's just not working anymore. So we need something that is a little bit more aggressive, but also gives us a lot of information about where to go next with our products and services. So it's really a feedback loop.
Yeah, that's such a good point there. The days of download my ebook, you know, download my checklist, you know, these, you know, tripwires, as I call it in the digital marketing arena, are great, but we all know that people aren't going to read your ebook. They're
right.
tired of determining what type of vegetable they are in Farmville.
Right.
But that's one of the most important things that I love about you doing. You're helping those out there still identifying, connecting with their ideal type of client, and then being able to filter through all those that are opting into these quizzes to determine who you really need to spend the most time with, who needs a little bit more nurture, and who really isn't your ideal client, right? And that's important when it comes to a time and cost and marketing factor too, right?
Absolutely. So the way our quizzes work is there's actually a commitment section, and based on scoring, there are 3 separate emails that go out in the background. And what makes that unique is if somebody's highly committed, and that to us, highly committed means they're committed to solving the problem you solve. They're willing to spend money or invest money to solve that problem, and they would like to talk to you. So that highly committed person is going to get an email that offers your calendar. We want to talk to them. Absolutely. And we want to talk to them now. That middle area, that sort of, I'm going to call it a little bit of a gray area, is your nurture space. If you're out speaking or you're on a summit, it may be that someone really loves what you have to say, but they need a little nurturing. It's the first time they've ever seen you. We all know, you know, the sort of coaching, social media arena out there. It's hard to ferret through sometimes who's real and who's not. So those are your nurture people. And then you have that whole group of people in any room, in any space you're in, that's probably 80 to 85% of them that are looky-loos. They're drive-bys. They're never going to invest. They're never going to take action. And those are the type of people that we do put in our list, and we give them those checklists and all that free stuff.
The prize pigs, as we like to say, this.
Yes. Oh, do you have your little? Where's your
the office? It's never where it's.
Oh my God! It's never where it's supposed to be when I'm with you.
I take it with me to the office to use, and I come home, or I had it at the house here. Juliet's referring to all my noises that I like to have. You know, she went out and bought me the, you know, the play. Not the Play-Doh, but
the See and Say. I bought him a See and Say. So
yes.
He would have every animal available.
Yeah, so my guttural. Now, going back to your quizzes, what are you finding with your clients the best kind of implementation strategy? We talking throwing it up on Facebook, doing a video about it, being on Instagram, or sharing from the front of the stage that leads to the 3 ways that they connect with them afterwards? What do you kind of see as the biggest bang for the buck and engagement, ways to engage with their audiences?
Probably the biggest 2 are from stage and pre-marketing from the stage, and then also summits. So, you know, I was on a summit last week. You could actually see the people taking them because all the results are in real time. So you can actually see who's completing it, who's submitting, getting their results, and also who's scheduling that appointment. So since it's all in real time, you can actually give shout outs in real time as well. We do see pretty good results for people on social media in a couple areas. The first is if you have a group over on Facebook, it's the gateway to get in. So now you've collected a tremendous amount of information about the people who are coming into your group, which will help you identify content needs. So that's what's so terrific about the way we do this is it's win-win. Before it was, it's sort of ego driven. I'm going to give you a piece of my genius and you're going to open it. You're going to love me. You're going to open all my emails. And we all know that's not happening. But what if I can create a space where I can define the success principles of what I do and allow you to assess where you're at on the journey to success? Now I'm not really telling you that you need my help. I'm showing you that I need my help. And for all of us that are writers out there, you know that is the hardest principle in writing, is being able to express that show, not tell. So it's a way to really gather information and validate what you're doing for your audience, but also see those content roadmaps where you can sort of use your content as a digital listening tool. And then it's win-win for those clients or potential clients out there because, you know, there's so much information out there and there's so many shiny objects that now they can get really grounded in, if I want to be successful at this, I'm going to have to give some things up and really concentrate on these areas where I have gaps.
That makes a lot of good sense there. I love the idea of making it your qualifying question or qualifying actions to take to join a Facebook group or your group, so that you've got that information on the front end, see where they kind of rank in the beginning, because we all know people evolve over time as they learn more, but that's greater than what's your email and what's your cell phone number, right?
Right. Because now I'm going to call you incessantly.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to text message you. I'm going to drop you an email blast on stuff that you don't want to see or hear, on topics that you have no interest in or add zero value to you. One of the great things you said was the pre-event aspect of things. And I think a lot of people miss out on talking with their audience or, you know, attendees of virtual summit, or people are showing up to a conference to gauge their interest and be able to cater to the needs and wants and questions of an audience. And that's one of the big things that your quizzes do, don't they? They're able to gauge what the hot buttons are to be more impactful.
Well, not only that in your talk, but when you're able to use them in pre-marketing. So for instance, if today you had sent out my quiz, and I think we did that last time, then I actually have an avenue, if this is a live event, to pick up the phone for those high commitment people and say, you know, hey, I have an afternoon where I'm going to sit down and have 30-minute appointments. You were really high commitment. Let's sit down and talk about what's going on with you. And we've seen a lot of our paid speakers use that quite well. They used to just fly in and fly out because they were getting paid, and now they stick around for a day or two and really engage. And that time with somebody that is at that high level is really important to people for potential clients, because you do kind of get to know them. Sort of like what the gentleman before me was saying, like you don't really know if people are who they are on social media. So this gives you an avenue to really like assess that person one-on-one.
Yeah, but it also adds a whole different level of conversion besides selling just a home study course or a workshop online. Actually being able to sit there and have those one-on-one with your most valuable clients that can lead to coaching or higher ticket sales, right?
Exactly. People don't click on a program anymore and get them. We actually did a survey back in 2018, and about 50% of the people told us they buy downloadable programs and they never even open them. And then others told us that they really would have appreciated help with them, because they either don't finish them or they get stuck. So having that contact with someone and being able to communicate with them is really important to our people these days.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It definitely makes a lot of sense. What drives you bonkers on the social media aspect, or things that you see people really screwing up on when it comes to your authors and speakers out there that you just like, are they just hitting their head against the wall because nobody's paying attention?
I don't think it's as much that. So the authors and speakers sort of have different problems. I have a lot of authors who they want to be famous, but they don't want to be seen. It's like, it is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So yeah, for those, I almost call it, I don't know if passive aggressive is the right word, but they just like, they don't get that they have to be out in front of their book, like way before their book comes out. So that's where when we work with nonfiction authors, the quiz comes in handy, because now we're actually building an audience. Because the truth is, with the authors, the book is never going to get you that island next to Richard Branson's. It's, you know, it's the other products and services you're selling. So you have to be out there. With the speakers, I think they really, they find ways to be heard. But where I see things that really just bonk my head against the wall are people that are brand new that really don't know how to use social media. So I love to talk about this one person who is a real estate agent, who she's on Facebook and she's talking constantly about her ex-husband and the kids. And, you know, of course, all these women are piling on and they're like, yeah, I hate my ex-husband too. But she does the same thing over on LinkedIn. And it's bad enough on Facebook, but over on LinkedIn, you look at it and you're just like, does she have any idea that's inappropriate here? Like, so that's the kind of thing that really drives me crazy.
Yeah, I can understand that. And we all.
Yeah, there's maybe, to articulate that a little bit better, there's a difference between authentic and TMI.
And as somebody says, Facebook has become that backyard barbecue, which is okay to share that stuff. But on LinkedIn, it's much more of a networking professional atmosphere. The thing that aggravates me a lot, like I get friend requests from people that I've got, 70, 100 mutual friends. Okay, great, I'll connect. What's been coming up a lot lately is the fitness experts or the stay-home workout gurus. Hey, how are you doing? Great to connect with you. I'm like, hey, great to connect with you too. Tell me about your fitness plans. I'm like, okay, straight to go jump. Hey, nice to meet you. Let's get married. No, you're not adding any value. Let's talk a little about the adding value aspect of things, because I think it's more than different just asking people 9 or 10 questions. You really have a process to dive into value adding, or finding out what the buttons are. Can we talk a little about that journey that you're working with people on your quizzes to help them find it? Because you and I are going through that right now in my own quiz.
Right. So. Yeah. So we actually don't do questions. We have statements, and you grade yourself on a scale of 0 to 10, which 0 is I haven't done anything on this, 10 is that I'm successful at it. And we also, what sets our software apart is we have categories. So from a neuromarketing standpoint, if I answer a question on a quiz and then I go to the next page, I have completely just disconnected from the process. I've forgotten about that last question. So when I get my results, everything seems disconnected. If you can use a software that has categories and use those statements within categories, when they get the results, they can see gaps. And it does make sense where they're connecting. So we actually sit down and we take a look at your product, program, service, whatever it is. What is success? What does success look like when someone is engaging in all of the right things? And so that's where we start and that's how we position it with people is let's take a look at where you are at in relationship to success. That's why I said it's so important that you have that like 80 to 85 that'll never take action. Like they'll take that and they'll outright tell you like, yeah, I'm not spending money. I'm not very connected to, solving this problem. And yeah, I got a ton of 0s, but I'm never going to show up for any of this. So that's why, I mean, I know it sounds awful, but that's why if you're out there trying to convince everybody they need your product, you're probably losing a lot of conversations, because anytime in sales that you're convincing versus somebody coming to the conversation open to it, you've already lost the sale. So why not talk to people all day that are open to the sale, that are really open to the growth process?
Now, what do you find as being the best social media platforms or your best activities that you see the most amount of success for your clients taking podcast guesting, live video, webinars? What are you seeing as some of the better things? You talked about virtual summits early on a little bit about that. We go back to that too in a minute, but what are some of the best ways that you're seeing your really successful clients? What are the actions and how are they leveraging that?
So Facebook Lives, that's so funny. Somebody just took a quiz and I didn't, it must be from last week because I didn't even give it out here yet. Facebook Lives, if you're somebody who does a regular Facebook Live, invite people to take it at the end. If you're over on YouTube, you have YouTube channel over there, put it over in those notes, put it into the end trailer of your YouTube channel. We see a lot of success with people also with list building, just putting it out on social media and inviting people to take it, but not just random here and there. Like, you don't just post and run. There has to be some content with it. One of the strategies that our clients do really well with is we have a lot of podcasters who use it as their ads, but they also have that guesting strategy. So in our software, you can actually copy, you can duplicate and have one for your own podcast and one that you give out when you guest on someone else's podcast. That way you can see where your traffic's coming from too. But when I'm out on other people's shows, I give it out as my free gift all the time. So it's a really great way to capture other people's audiences that may resonate with you as well.
That is really cool. There's a big nugget for everybody paying attention there. Sharing something and seeing where the traffic's coming from is great. And if you've got the podcast strategy as a marketing, which I think everybody should if you're an expert and have a podcast, right, Juliet?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. When you are guesting, are you saving that to the very end? Are you mentioning that? Oh, I'm sorry. As a guest, obviously saving that to the very end is your giveaway. But as you are on your own, have your own episodes, your own podcast, how often are you mentioning that throughout your episodes? Are you waiting to the very end? Are you creating an ad that runs the beginning, the mid-read, or the end? Or how's that kind of working for you?
So I have an ad that runs in the middle with it, and I'm sort of inconsistent. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. When I begin my show, I'll invite people to go over and take it. And that one is completely different than any other. My show's called Promote, Profit, Publish. So I have a Promote, Profit, Publish quiz. I'll talk about this in a minute. I have a book coming out this next month. Tomorrow is July, next month. I have a book coming out. I have a pitch slap quiz in the book. So, Amazon is another one of those places that I call off funnel, like the podcast. iTunes owns your stats. So, you have, 1,000 downloads a week, but who's listening? Same with Amazon. Amazon, you know how many people are buying your book, but who's really reading? So now you're capturing from there as well.
I mean, Amazon doesn't give you the emails and the contact information of the client.
No, Amazon doesn't even like you to publish outside of them. So.
Well, that's the one thing, if you have an author page on there, one of the things that we do to distribute is that we'll put our podcast RSS feed directly into Amazon as our blog, and it uploads every time we have a new episode, which has helped out in a variety of fashions of feeding people over to us. But let's talk about your book, Pitch Slap. There's got to be a story behind that. Okay, there are somebody not selling, but talk about it.
So I don't know. Can I cuss on here? I don't know where it's going at. But so I was at an event with one of my good friends, Catherine Bell, and she said something about bitch slapped. And so we're at this event and it's networking, and I'm sitting there noticing like everybody's coming up and they're just vomiting. We've all learned to do like this, 30-second pitch of what we do, but we forget hey, Scott, how are you? So Scott, what do you do? Where do you live? What do you like to do in your spare time? We have forgotten the art of that when we're networking at business. And I literally walked out that day after being like pitch slimed by so many people. And I was like, you know what, Catherine, I'm calling my book Pitch Slapped, because that's exactly what I felt like. So that's where that came from.
I love it. But that's the truth. We do forget about it. It's all, hey, buy my stuff. And I'm like, listen, you got to apply the form. Where are you from? What do you do? What you do for fun? And then your message, not the other way around. Form tack, but people are, yes, sometimes these days, especially these days, you need a spit guard.
Yeah, yes. So, but that's what it was all about, though, is really using the quiz and building relationships. Because if you sell high ticket items, you can't go around pitch slapping and expecting someone to go, oh, wow, Scott, I've known you for 30 seconds. That's amazing. How do I get that $5,000 to you? It just doesn't work that way.
So let's talk about that kind of that level of products for those that are marketing out there. They're looking to start a book or being present. Is it just the book and you write the book and all the riches will come? Or do you need to put in place kind of a level of services or price points to kind of build that trust along the way?
No, the book is not the magic bullet. And you were on last week. Tracy Hadzer and I did a whole show on this. When I started, so the way I started my publishing company, I wrote mystery novels and I made a lot of money on some really crappy mystery novels. I'll be the first to admit they're crappy. But what my takeaway from that is that authors weren't being encouraged to build their author platforms. And it's the same with us. Anything we sell, we need that platform built. We need that audience built. And so books aren't right for everyone, and that you can write a book too soon. And that's what we found when we started the publishing company, is people were going to these business rah-rahs and telling the guru in the room, oh gosh, my products and services aren't selling online. And their answer was, oh, it's because you don't have a book. Imagine if you could go in and say, I wrote the book on this. And when I think about that, if I handed you a book and said, hey, Scott, I wrote the book on this, how would you feel about that? Would you think, what an arrogant woman she is? But really what it was all about was building that audience first, because that book is never going to make you the riches you're seeking. You're never going to be Jack Canfield and sell 5 million copies. But it is a loss leader for your products and services. So if you can go into the project knowing from the time you even get that idea that you can, for us, we use the quizzes, we find out what people want, we get feedback, we start selling our products and services, and then we write the book. And because we've had feedback from our audience, we know it's the right book and that people will buy it.
I love that. Yeah. So many people, it's a loss leader. I never wrote a book for me to make millions of dollars on it. I wrote it because it's something tangible to give. It's like an advanced business card these days, expensive business card, but still effective in knowing that if I can give 10,000 of my books away where I'm speaking or I'm talking in some sort of fashion, I know that that's a valuable audience for the most part versus trying to make my money off of that.
Exactly. And even better for podcasters is getting your audiobook done, because people are already used to your voice. They're already listening to you for the most part. And what's really great about that is that other people that have published books aren't doing it. And if you sign a traditional contract, it has an audiobook in it. So even if you're a self-published author, if you go that extra mile and put that audiobook out, especially if you're a podcaster, you're going to get hits on it, lots of hits.
I love that. Now, do you recommend somebody just pulling up a Zoom and reading chapter after chapter audio-wise that way? Get it done?
No. Those platforms like Audible, they have very strict guidelines. A lot of people will use professional talent, but we do have someone that we use that actually will give you a director. They will make sure that the quality is there. So it's a really great process. And you have somebody working alongside that will make sure that it's the quality it's supposed to be. It's the quality is much, much better than even you would use for a podcast. So you have to be really careful with Audible guidelines.
Now, in this day of digital media and video, how important is the written word these days when it comes to getting out there? Are you seeing it trending down? Are you still seeing it valuable because people love something tangible in the growth of e-readers helping things? What's kind of, where do you see that going?
So people learn in three different ways. And one of those modalities is actually the kinesthetic, which there are people I talk to who won't even touch Kindle. They want, Tracy Hazard is one of them. They want that book in their hand. They want to be able to read it. Now, for me, I'm actually an Audible person, but if I'm listening to Audible and I feel this is something I should have in my hand, I will go back and buy the book as sort of a reference guide. So there's both out there. I have a Kindle e-reader too, but I rarely use it. I actually either like it in my ear or like it in my hand. So you shouldn't discount it as something that people aren't using anymore, because a lot of, especially fiction authors, you know, people don't want to fill their suitcase with books anymore. They put them on Audible, and you know, they either read them on Kindle or listen on Audible when they're on vacation. So every single one of those works.
Yeah, I would agree to that. It is the nice thing of having tangible. I like it because I like to put notes. I like to fold the corners of the chapters I'm in. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, "No, you folded the corner. Your tab folder."
I know, everybody. It's so funny. My mother used to be like that. She had her little book markers. Like, you folded my book. You folded. You're gonna give it away anyway.
Exactly. Juliet, what's the best way for those listening or watching this or catching the replays later on to connect with you, to find out more about your services and the quizzes, and implementing one of them in their marketing habits?
So I would invite you to go over and take one first. You can find one at www.leadlogicquiz.com. Or you can get a hold of me at Juliet@superbrandpublishing.com. All one big word.
Mm-hmm. And for those in here in the Zoom, I'm actually putting that into the chat roll, leadlogicquiz.com. I'll go back and add it into the Facebook Live here in a second as well too for you. But I highly encourage you to click on it. It's a pretty simple aspect. It's pretty simple. How long to fill out, how long to answer, Juliet?
Gosh. So our quizzes allow you to determine who in your audience is your best client in 180 seconds. There, I just pitch slapped you.
You pitched me there. But it's after 25 minutes, so you're golden,
okay,
all right?
so I'm good.
We're old friends now. We've shared 2 cocktails in that time frame for the most part. But that's such a cool thing. And then even implementing that if there are events or captchas, or like just getting people to fill that out during a virtual event. I love that. I'm thinking just now some people to introduce you to that I hadn't thought about in the past out there. So you and I will talk a little bit more. I know we have a phone call scheduled for later this week. I've got some ideas for you on some other ways. Yay.
Glad to hear it. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Juliet, thank you. Always great to have you. Such a fun person. Can't wait till we hang out in person again the next time, right?
I know. Disney World, here we come.
If they're ever opening in Ratland, who knows?
Yeah. Ratland. Is that what you call Florida?
That's what I call Florida, Ratland. Yep, exactly. Careful.
Ooh.
I'm going to have a shoe come whizzing by me from Steph here in a second. I don't watch it. All right. Thanks, Julie. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being on social media day.
You too. Bye-bye.